Good evening. Namaste. This is Dr. Aparna. I am your emotional healing synergist. I am an Ayurvedic psychotherapist, a passionate infopreneur, edupreneur, and medical writer. In my pursuit of addressing, promoting, and propagating Ayurveda and psychotherapy globally, today I am back with a session on emotional metamorphosis. So, what is emotional metamorphosis? I have discussed it in brief in my previous discussions, but today we are going to discuss this in detail. So, emotional metamorphosis as a phrase, how did I come to this? Is if you can see the image behind, there is a metamorphosis of an egg, a larva, a caterpillar, and a butterfly. So, this is a physical metamorphosis, though. What you're seeing behind is physical metamorphosis. What I am talking about is emotional metamorphosis. This is actually a coined term. This is not actually a used phrase. So let's explore, let's perceive what is emotional metamorphosis actually. So, the phrase emotional metamorphosis is not commonly used in term or phrase. So there isn't a widely accepted definition for it. However, if I have to break it down, emotional is relating to your or pertaining to emotions. Emotions refers to a person's feelings, right? We all know what is emotion. Emotions play a significant role in shaping our experiences and behavior. So, what is metamorphosis? Metamorphosis is actually a biological term that describes a profound transformation or change. It typically refers to the process through which an organism undergoes a series of distinct developmental stages, so resulting in significant alteration in its form or structure, as you can see behind. For example, the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly is a well known example of emotional metamorphosis. So, considering these definition, emotional metamorphosis could refer to a profound and transformative change in a person's emotional state or experiences. It might indicate a significant shift or evolution in one's emotional well-being, perspective, or how they relate to and express their emotions. It could involve a deep personal growth or transformational journey that leads to a noticeable change in emotional patterns, reactions, or overall emotional state. So, before explaining in detail about emotional metamorphosis, uh, we have to understand about two words and know why emotional metamorphosis is important. I think most of us or most of you might have heard the words emotional intelligence and emotional wisdom. These words are, revolving around every in our everyday life, so we hear it every day: emotional intelligence and emotional wisdom. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence refers to the capacity to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions effectively, as well as the ability to perceive and understand the emotions of others. It involves a set of skills that contribute forming healthy relationships, managing conflicts, and making sound decisions. So, emotional intelligence refers to the capacity to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions effectively. So, it involves a set of skills that contribute to forming healthy relationships, managing conflicts, and making sound decisions. So, the five components of emotional intelligence, as proposed by Daniel Goleman. So, what are those? Self awareness. What is self awareness? The ability to recognize and understand one's own emotions, strength, weaknesses, and values. Self regulation, the capacity to manage and control one's emotions, impulses, and behaviors. So self awareness and regulation, once you are able to recognize your emotions, then you regulate your emotions. That is the capacity to manage and control one's emotions, impulses, and behaviors. Motivation, then after you're self-regulated, motivation, having the drive to achieve goals, persevere in the face of challenges, and remain optimistic. Here goals means not only the professional goals, even the personal goals, the relationship goals, any goal, may it be any goal. So next, after motivation, it is empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, putting oneself in their shoes. And next, after empathy, is the social skills, the proficiency in managing relationships, communicating effectively, and building networks. So these are the five main components of emotional intelligence. I'll talk about emotional intelligence in detail in another session. So this is just a brief. So five components are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So next is emotional wisdom. I was talking of emotional wisdom. So what is emotional wisdom? Emotional wisdom builds upon emotional intelligence by integrating ethical considerations, moral values, and a deeper understanding of the human condition. See, emotional wisdom is developed, as a person ages. This is developed by experience, over a period of time. So it involves not just recognizing and managing emotions, but also applying wisdom and compassion in dealing with complex emotional situations. So what does emotional wisdom encompasses? So what does emotional wisdom do? Emotional wisdom builds upon emotional intelligence by integrating ethical considerations, moral values, and a deeper understanding of the human conditions. So it involves not just recognizing and managing emotions, but also applying wisdom and compassion in dealing with complex emotional situations. So, ethical decision making, considering the moral implications of our actions and making choices aligned with our values and principles. Authenticity, so being true to oneself, expressing emotions genuinely, and maintaining integrity in relationships. Resilience, cultivating the ability to bounce back from adversity, learn from setbacks, and find meaning in challenging experiences. Compassion, so after as the ethical decision making, it is the authenticity, it is the resilience, it is the compassion, showing empathy, kindness, and understanding towards others even in a difficult situation. And emotional balance, striving for emotional equilibrium by recognizing and managing both positive and negative emotions in a healthy manner. Developing emotional intelligence and emotional wisdom can lead to enhanced personal and professional relationships, improved decision making, increased empathy, and greater sense of well-being. So, a greater sense of emotional well being. Both concepts are important for personal growth, effective leadership, and creating a more harmonious and empathetic society. So, now we understand the word meanings and what are involved in both emotional intelligence and emotional wisdom. So, now emotional metamorphosis. So, my map out was when we have emotional intelligence and when we have to achieve emotional wisdom, there is a gap behind, that is a blank point. So that blank point is emotional intelligence plus emotional metamorphosis is equal to emotional wisdom. That means when you have recognized your feelings and emotions, and when you are self regulating them and motivating and empathy and social skills, now whatever self awareness you have to transform it in emotional intelligence into emotional wisdom. So in between there is something called emotional metamorphosis. So metamorphosis is transformation. It is a process which is, or a discipline which is developed over a period of time. So let's know what it is in detail. So this is emotional metamorphosis is first time I thought that there is when I searched on internet as well, I didn't find I found metamorphosis. So from metamorphosis, when it can happen physically, like we are seeing in the picture, in the background. So emotionally also metamorphosis can happen. So this is a coin term, I had never heard about the word before. But I one day incidentally bumped into two novels that I have not read until so far. The novels are on metamorphosis. So I thought that emotional metamorphosis, I couldn't find any data in any books or in on the net or wherever I searched. So while but I incidentally bumped into two novels. That is, one is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and Emotional Metamorphosis by J.M. Cullen. And only an article I found on psychological metamorphosis. There were some notes on psychological metamorphosis, and I was unaware of the existence. Therefore I thought this word was not existent, but it was existent, but it was not being used. So as I said, my map out would be emotional intelligence plus emotional metamorphosis is equal to emotional wisdom. So, emotional metamorphosis, as per my knowledge, this is not a definition given in any book or something, is a disciplinary skill. So, emotional metamorphosis is a disciplinary skill that can be, or skills and set of strategies and techniques also, you can take it like that. Disciplinary skill, that means a set of strategies and techniques that can be developed and cultivated over a period of time for psychological transformation, which when integrated with emotional intelligence accelerates to emotional wisdom. So as we talk about wisdom in general, there is something called emotional wisdom as well, as I discussed now. So for attaining emotional wisdom, so how to cultivate and implement emotional wisdom? So it is like the power of emotional wisdom. So what is the power of emotional wisdom? If you ask, why do we need emotional? So what is the use of it? One is, for me as a Ayurvedic psychotherapist, for me, I have seen a drastic improvement in my clients' emotional status, like managing their emotions and controlling how to respond. See, I always tell that we don't have any control over what happens to us in life, but we can definitely control how do we respond to what happens in our life. So that is a major part. And majorly it is also helpful. It is the first thing is, it is definitely helpful in mental health conditions, but in our regular daily life as well. The power of, if we know the power of emotional wisdom, and we if we develop the skills to skills and the discipline to manage our emotions and how we respond to it, we can save a lot of relationships and lead a harmonious life. you know because usually what we do is we react to every situation rather than responding. So that is where we need emotional wisdom, and this emotional metamorphosis plus emotional intelligence that then accelerates to emotional wisdom. So true courage is about looking inwards and not outwards, being able to stand firm in a place of vulnerability and to flourish and grow with honesty. Humility is a strength beyond measure. This is the power of emotional wisdom. This is, by the way, quote by Jenny Florence. And positive self regard is related to maturity. As I said, emotional wisdom comes with maturity, comes with experience, comes over a period of time. Emotional wisdom, as per my comprehension, reflects the way people relate to us. That is, the ability to accept people as they are, not as you would like them to be. That is the problem. We feel that people should behave in the way that we want them to do. So the ability to accept the people as they are, and in a way this can be seen as the height of wisdom, to enter the skin of someone else, to understand what other people are like on their terms rather than judging them. So the first thing is not to judge. Second is the capacity to approach relationships and problems in terms of the present rather than the past. Certainly, it is true that we can learn from past mistakes, but using the present as a takeoff point for trying to make fewer mistakes seemed to be more productive for our leaders, and certainly was more psychologically sound than rehashing things that are over. So the capacity to approach relationships and problems in terms of the present and the past. So, the ability to treat who are close to you with the same courteous attention that you extend to strangers and casual acquaintances. Usually what we do is, when we see strangers and when we meet them only for once, or the casual acquaintances, we behave courteously. But the people who are close to us, we don't be so courteous and we don't extend the same courtesy. The need for this skill is often most obvious and lacking in our relationships with our own families, but it is equally important at work. We tend to take for granted those to whom we are the closest. Often we get so accustomed to seeing them and hearing from that we lose our ability to listen to what they are really saying to, or appreciate the quality, good or bad, of what they are doing. Personal feelings of friendship or hostility or simple indifference interfere. So this is a valid point in most of the personal goals as well, relationship goals. So there are two aspects of this problem. That is, one is over familiarity. That the first, that of not hearing what is being said. That means we have selective deafness, which leads to misunderstandings, misconceptions, and mistakes. The second is the matter of feedback we fail to provide to indicate our attentiveness. So sometimes we are listening to them, but we pretend we are not. So then we are not giving the feedback to them, and that indicates that we are not attentive. So the ability to trust others, even The next point is the ability to trust others even if the risk seems great. A withholding of trust is often necessary for self protection, but the price is too high if it means always being on guard, constantly suspicious of others. So, trust is very important. Even an overdose of trust that at times involves the risk of being deceived or disappointed is wiser in the long run than taking it for granted that most people are incompetent or insincere. So, trust is also very much important. That means sometimes what happens is it is difficult to trust people, but we have to, trust people at times. The ability to do without constant approval and recognition from others, particularly in a work situation, the need for constant approval can be harmful and counterproductive. See, we always seek validation and approvals from others, and every time we do that, it can also lead to counterproductivity, and it can be harmful as well. But you know what, my friends, you can't please everybody every time. People are happy with you, people are not happy with you, people agree with you, people do not agree with you. So please do not seek constant approval and recognition from others. So I will repeat all these 5 points once again. First thing is the ability to accept the people how they are, and to enter their skin and understand what other people are like on their terms. Next, the capacity to approach relationships and problems in terms of the present rather than the past. Then, the ability to treat those who are close to you with the same courteous attention that you extend to strangers and casual acquaintances. And the fourth point is the ability to trust others, even if the risk seems great. A withholding of trust is often necessary. So, fifth point is the ability to do without constant approval and recognition from others. And we are coming with I'm coming up with series of interesting talks on different subjects as well. So before that, I have some points of what we can do to start beginning in the process of emotional wisdom. So what can we do? Communicate assertively, respond calmly instead of reacting, be an active listener, be self motivated, maintain a positive attitude. I know what I am talking about is not a one day thing. We need even, we require constant practice, and it experience, and it comes over a period of time. Then practice self awareness, learn how to take constructive criticism instead of reacting and arrogant, taking it badly. You have to accept constructive criticism. Next, empathize with others, learn problem solving skills, and be approachable and sociable. So, I'll repeat it once again: communicate assertively, respond calmly instead of reacting. These can be considered as some tips, to start with. How I started with: be an active listener, be self motivated, maintain a positive attitude, practice self awareness, learn how to take constructive criticism, empathize with others, learn problem solving skills, and be approachable. So people, when they, when your team when your team, should feel approachable. I can approach this person XYZ, I can approach this person for any problem. He or she will empathize with my problem. And this is the gist for today. I'll be back in another session with another interesting topic. So thanks if you still stay tuned into the discussion, and thanks for today. Namaste.